Hey, welcome to the Spring Hills Podcast. Today we've got a NextGen episode. So I've brought in Pastor Jon, who is the NextGen pastor, along with Josh Rasmussen, who's on the students team, and then as well as Catherine Crowlish, who does a lot of different things within students, but is the Club 5-6 director. We're going to talk about a lot of things that have to do with the NextGen Ministries, all the way through the preschool, jam-packed, which is 1st through 4th grade, and then Club 5-6, which is 5th and 6th graders, and then Student Ministries, which is 7th and 8th, all the way through high school. So we're going to bring them in just a second. I also want to remind you that this Wednesday is Motion Night. That's for all students in junior high and high school. That's what we're here to talk about mainly today is Motion Night. And also we want to let you know that our services are still outside on the lawn, normal service time, Saturday at 5:30, Sunday at 8:15, 9:30, and 11:15. Hopefully it's not going to be as hot this next weekend because last weekend, this was brutal, how hot it was out there. I know. I'm complaining. I shouldn't complain. We're very blessed we get to meet outside. It's awesome. I can't wait for next weekend. So here, let's get to the NextGen team. Welcome, everybody, to the Green Room. We've got a special episode for the NextGen Ministries today. So I've got with me Pastor Jon, which your title is NextGen Pastor. Is that right?
I am the NextGen Pastor here.
And then we have Josh Rasmussen, who's on the student team and does a lot of different things. You're here a lot. It seems like I see.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
He's in all the Club
I'm doing
56
it.
videos.
And
too.
you've also been on the podcast a few times.
I have. It's
But
been a while.
making her debut on the Spring Hills podcast, not by choice,
Welcome.
is Catherine Crowlish, Crowlish. How do you say your last name?
Crowlish, like
Crowlish.
kind of cruel.
I said it right the first time.
Kind of cruel.
I did that with your last name too. I said it right.
Kind of cruel. That's
And it's fitting.
That's fitting.
That's very
so
fitting.
fitting. The
So,
Wrath of Kath.
Kath is here to join us today for the first time. There was a misunderstanding. She thought she had to be here, and ultimately we told her, nope, this wasn't required, but now
Thought it was
it is,
mandatory.
'cause
The
you're
Spirit
here.
of the Lord brought her here, everybody.
Or
So-
we just tricked her.
As you're listening to this podcast
That's
by
more
yourself,
believable.
in your car, at home, whatever, give Catherine a round of applause. And so today we're going to talk about NextGen Ministry. Specifically, we've got Motion Night coming up. That's why we're doing this episode.
Yep.
This is being recorded on Thursday prior to Motion Night, but this will air on Monday prior to Motion Night. So as we talk about like the weekend and stuff, you'll know
Yeah.
like you can talk about it either in the future or past tense, whatever. Just do what feels right, you know?
Sounds great.
So first, I want to take a look at NextGen Ministries as a whole. There's a lot of content available for all the different ages. Now, NextGen, when we say that, it's babies through high school, right?
Yep, through senior year.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff online, and now that we've been in the COVID quarantine for 6 months, I
Forever.
think? 6 months? Because we're going on month 4 of doing outdoor services. So this is
Wow.
like,
That's
6 months
crazy.
of COVID stuff. So now there is a
What
ton.
a joy it's been. You know what
So
I mean?
much
joy.
fun.
It's joy. Yeah. We
Consider
really
it pure
it.
joy, my
Love
brothers, when you encounter trials of any kind.
when you encounter trials
Yeah.
like this. So we're now, we've got a lot of content stacked up now for all of these age groups. So let's start, first of all, what do we have for the NextGen, specifically online or on campus?
Yeah, so we've got a bunch of great things available for the elementary, the preschool age, even preteen. So we've got stuff for your kids who are in preschool. It's great. There's a puppet named Bowie, and Bowie's awesome and a lot of fun. And parents, it's great because it's Pastor Brett's wife, Eve.
Which makes it a million times better.
It's so great. So even for your viewing pleasure, you just want to go on there and check out Bowie on the preschool.
We'll need to put some Bowie outtakes at some
the
point.
Bowie.
I think, John, can you do a quick
Oh
Bowie
man,
impersonation?
I'll do it.
The one you did earlier was
Everybody,
great.
you ready?
I'm going to have to put compression on this.
Turn it up in your volume.
headphones.
Ready? Hi guys. Welcome.
It's more like she says hi, kids.
Oh.
Hi, kids. Hi, kids.
And it's like she shouts it.
Garrett
Wow,
can
I
do it
just
too.
got
That was
outdone
really
by
good.
Do
3
it too.
people.
It's-
Jeez
well, they tried to get me
Louise.
to do the Bowie voice, and then I
That's
like,
true.
no.
Garrett auditioned, but he didn't make the cut.
I didn't
Oh,
I didn't
man.
feel comfortable with it. It wasn't the right role for me. I wasn't in the Bowie mindset. Eve had it pegged.
Now, Catherine is actually in the preschool video. So
I am.
tell us
Yeah, Kath.
tell us about it.
Me and Eve were in the preschool videos. It's fun. I haven't worked with preschool in a little bit, but they're fun. But the kids love it. It's really funny on the weekends when the kids show up. I hear them whisper to their parents, "Mommy, that's the teacher on our video."
Ooh,
And
you're
I'm
a
like,
celebrity.
Oh, this is super
Oh.
awkward.
Have you had your autograph asked for yet?
No. Or the kids will come up and be like, "You know Bowie. You
That-
know Bowie." Like, it's
The autograph
cute.
thing is
That's
awkward.
great.
We get that every now and then with the band. You'll have a kid and ask for your autograph.
You're lying.
Wow.
No, I mean, it's little kids. It's not adults.
Oh, okay.
I had someone last week ask me to autograph their Bible after my sermon, but I said no.
Are you serious?
I'm joking, everybody. I'm joking.
Like,
I'm joking.
Whatever.
But the videos, how long are they, Kat? They're short, right?
10
I mean-
minutes or
I mean,
less.
it's short, and then there's
Short and
dancing
sweet. Mhm.
and
Worship, memory verse, Bible
And
story.
Each month you've got a new series, right?
Yes.
So this is starting a new series
September.
this first week of September.
Yeah.
So what's your new series?
Ice cream shop. And so Bowie is having an ice cream party. And so we're planning that for the first few weeks. And then we have a big party on week 4.
So that's the
Awesome.
theme, but what's the Bible lesson?
We're learning that God has plans for us. So we talk about
I
the
love
life
it.
of Joseph.
Oh, cool.
great.
So now let's go to Jam Pack. John B's not here to tell us what's going on in Jam Pack.
No,
Do
I
you
can
know
tell you a
his
little bit
theme?
about it. Yeah, so John Barrett works with kids 1st grade through 4th grade. That's kind of how we've had things organized right now. And so he's great. He also has, dancing and worship, a memory verse, and some scripture with a great underlying story to it, or not story, but principle would be a better word to say. And I believe it's Block Party is the focus, because it's a focus on like your friends and kind of the people in your life. And so kind of the idea is, Block Party, you invite people to come be a part of the fun. And so
Friendship is the theme, right?
yeah, friendship
I
is
only
the
know
theme.
that from the graphics he gave
Yeah,
me.
so it's this idea of, who you're surrounding yourself with. And so it's great. John Barrett's a great teacher for the kids. He loves the kids so much. And so, we have Jam-Packed online as well. So you actually have channels on YouTube. So if you're a parent and you've got kids in preschool, or not channels, it's a
Playlist.
playlist. So you go to the playlist for preschool, and then you got a playlist for Jam-Packed, which is 1st through 4th. And then you have a playlist for Club 56, where you're going to find Josh Rasmussen on
Yeah,
Club
you are.
56 online. Josh,
Can
tell
I
us-
just say real quick before you do that, you and Brett are amazing at transitions. Brett did this a few minutes ago here, and he did a transition. I'm like, dude, that's flawless.
Oh,
Smooth.
Flawless. The way that
Passed
you
it right
so go
off.
ahead,
This is great.
finish it off, John. Your introduction.
I was just going to say, Josh Rasmussen, everybody, the one and only from Club 56 online.
Now, do people ask for your autograph?
People do not ask for my autograph. I'm not around as much, and if I'm being honest, I don't even think I've seen any of the videos that I'm recorded in. Like Kath recruits
Oh
me.
my gosh.
Oh, wow.
But I just kind of show up and do it.
I
Try
don't
to
I don't
have
even
fun.
see what I'm doing.
I
love
really
that, though.
haven't.
He's there to serve.
and if you
he's there
Oh,
to
yeah.
serve.
He doesn't care in what aspect.
Yeah.
I think the shirt that you're wearing describes you perfectly right now, because all the shirt says, and this is not a joke, there's one word on his shirt, and all it says is train. And not train like choo-choo, train like lift weights, go on a bike ride. So this is Josh Rasmussen, who is more in shape than anybody else on staff.
I do give
1000% more
him
in
a
shape
nice
than
run
anyone.
for his money. But,
John does.
you
John does.
know.
John's going to get
Especially-
abs at some point. He
John,
announced
a
that
few
last
weeks-
week.
like
when
a few
Jesus
months
comes back
ago.
and we get our new immortal bodies, you watch out, world.
Oh,
Okay?
gosh.
Was that just in the last service
That
when
was
you said
last
that?
service,
I
yeah.
was texting Kiki. I'm like, he's going full Brett
Oh,
right now.
God.
This
It
is
was
definitely-
11:15 service, so
and it was all smoky, and
Yeah.
he's going to get
but,
abs.
So oddly enough, though, I went into Whole Foods right before I came here, and the guy at the cash register saw the shirt. This is my work shirt, by the way, but I do like it.
He's a trainer at a gym.
And the
Not a-
guy
not
asked
a
me,
train
he's like,
conductor.
does that mean train like
Choo-choo?
choo-choo? Literally said the same exact thing you just said. And
Well,
I was,
it is
I
a
was
little
so
confusing.
confused at first. I was like, what are you
I
talking
can't
about?
remember
And I was
last
like,
time I
oh.
said the phrase.
It would say
choo-choo.
trains
Just
if it
now.
was that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Plural.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
I got to say, saying train noises on the podcast is a first.
That's great.
So what's right now with Club 56? What are you guys talking about?
We're also talking about Block Party and friends. Club 56 focuses a lot more on the friends that they have now and what that looks like for their life. So one of the weeks we talk about that our friends influence our decisions and
Mhm.
the things that we choose and who we follow.
Yeah.
And if our relationship with God is impacted because of our friends.
Yeah, just
Um,
like the people you surround yourself with, and how a lot of times you become like the people you surround yourself with. So it's important to have good friends that are going to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
As you walk with God, and you can kind of be influenced either way.
And for those of you who don't know, Catherine actually is our Club 56 director. So she oversees everything for Club 56 and helping kids transition from elementary to preteen and then into junior high and high school ministry. So
The
it's an
fun
important
phase
bridge
of
that
life
you
Yeah.
for
that you
them.
control and manage. You know, it's really great. So very important stuff
I
we got to
love
be teaching the
them.
kids.
They're awesome.
I think what you just said, like the people you're hanging around with, it's so important at that age too, because that was what happened with me. Was I was around the wrong people for a couple years, not necessarily as young as Club 5-6 is, but in junior high, start of high school, and I had enough of a support system at my church to help me make the decision to pull myself out of that and switch schools, get away from the group of people that literally were like trying to get me to do things that I shouldn't be doing, especially as a 14-year-old, So it was like having the support system at church to encourage you with that really was huge for me, because I went to a summer camp with all of my church friends, and it was like, these are the people I need to be around. And they were all at a different school, and I switched over to that school. Ended up, I think, getting myself out of a bad situation. Knowing myself, yeah.
And I'd go on a limb to say that if they can learn that in 5th and 6th grade, then come junior high and high school, they'll get to avoid a lot of those tough decisions.
Yeah.
Because we do talk about that stuff in junior high and high school, but some stuff I hate to say it this way, but some stuff might be a little bit too late. Yeah. Kath knew exactly where I was going with that, because they're growing up, they're making their own decisions, and they are, because
they've got cell phones when they're 9 years old.
A 5th or 6th grader nowadays would have been like a freshman in high school when I was
totally.
Like,
yeah.
And I like to tell the students, like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Which and they know,
classic youth pastor.
Classic, right? And that truly is, what you find in Proverbs when it talks about, the people that you surround yourself with and the wisdom that comes from, your support or your people.
Right.
But definitely, the students quote it to each other, especially the students who are trying to look out for their buddies are saying,
it's awesome that you have students doing that.
You gotta pay attention to who you're surrounding yourself with. So it's a great theme for especially as they all head back into, school, quote unquote.
Yeah, John's doing air quotes with
school. But even still, you're still surrounding yourself, even if it's digitally, with people.
Right.
And you got to remember that.
Yeah.
And parents have so much less control over that now, because normally, like I kind of control who my kids, hang out with and
your
who
kids
they
are.
spend time with.
How old's your oldest?
So my oldest is 8, and then I have a 7-year-old, and then I have a 4, almost 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So
you all over the preschool jam-packed ages.
Yep.
Cool.
So
so real quick, what's online and what's on campus? Because I know there is something for the preschool kids on campus on the weekends. What about jam-packed and Club 5-6? Is there anything going on?
Kathy, you want to take this?
So this weekend, every weekend, we have preschool on the patio. So the kids are socially distanced, hang out on the patio, watch Bowie and Eve and me, and then do crafts, games, whatever. Jam-packed is the same way in the warehouse. And then the second weekend in September, we're going to reopen Club 56.
Sweet.
And we're going to make a fun transition and invite the 4th graders from Jam-packed into Club 56.
So that'll actually be, by the time this airs, it'll be the next weekend.
Yes, and it'll be 4th through 6th grade, and that'll be in the cold storage building.
Awesome.
So we're excited.
In the normal Club 5-6 room.
Yes.
Great. That's awesome.
And if you want any more information about all this stuff, you can go to our website. Check out, springhills.org/kids. There'll be a whole bunch of information there. Maybe some show notes you can put down there.
/kids?
/.
That was, bad time for an inside joke on a podcast.
Seriously, come on.
Let's talk about small groups a little bit, because we are doing small groups as kind of a church-wide thing right now, because we've got small groups, the catalog open, people signing up for it. So student small groups. John, you want to start off telling us a little bit about student small groups?
Yeah, a couple years ago, we made a big, huge shift in the way that we minister to our teenagers. Just kind of looking at what helps their faith stick the best. And what we found is that, having consistent people in their lives who are influencing them for Christ is what's going to do that. And we found that small groups was really the key to all of that kind of coming together. And
the shift was going from the once a week big event to
and not that
classic youth group.
And it's not that youth group is bad. It just wasn't working. And I really felt the Lord pushing on my heart to say, we are to make disciples, and, we want these kids to learn the scriptures and to, ask questions and to, really do the work that's required of really, understanding the scriptures, because it's not easy to understand it. And so there's just so much more that can happen in the context of a small group than from up front on a stage talking to students and then breaking into small groups afterwards.
Yeah.
So Josh, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I think as I've been leading my small group, I think it allows for a lot more connection, like one-on-one with the leaders and the kids, like Jake Graff and I have a group of like 6 kids right now in high school, and it's just been super cool to get to know all these kids on a more personal level.
Yeah.
And just seeing like how things have changed from when I was in high school. Like I came up through the youth group here at Spring Hills. I think I started coming here when I was like end of my freshman year or something like that. And that's back when it was kind of more your traditional youth group. Like you would have
Wednesday night, once a week.
You show up on like a Thursday night or whatever, and it's like your normal hangout, like game. Pastor gives a quick message, and you split into small groups, and then you're more there to like hang out with everybody. Like I think a lot of people would. Oh, dodgeball was great.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. I think a lot of people would show up more just to like hang out, and look forward to seeing their friends. And not that that's a bad thing.
To hang out.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did it, but it's like you're not as like focused on the message
Oh my god,
we know what John was like.
That was junior high and high. Maybe not junior high. I was scared of girls in junior high, but like high school, that was more along the lines of what I kind of came from. But you're right. You're hitting on something that really was another reason why we went to small groups. It was because you only have, like, this is important, parents, you want to listen up to this. You only have so many hours with your kids before they graduate high school. There's a couple books that I can recommend to you parents, and that's to really help you understand the importance of the short amount of time that we do have. And so thinking about students and the short amount of time that we have here, on a good year, we'll probably have anywhere between, I don't know, maybe 40 and 60 hours with a kid. 40 and 60 hours.
A year.
A year. That's crazy.
That's if they show up every single week and they stay a little bit longer, whatever, right? And so we have to think, how are we going to use those 40 or 60 hours? And games are fun. I love games.
John's a kid at heart.
I'm from fun country. I mean, I'm a youth pastor at heart, in that I love hanging out with the students and playing games and being silly and all that stuff. I like to have fun, and there's a place for fun. Absolutely. But I think that, parents are dropping off their kids at church, not just for fun.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I take that seriously. And so the idea is, let's have some fun, but let's make sure that we understand something about Jesus and the cross and grace and our relationship with him. So we made a huge shift and change, but we still gather in big ways on the second Wednesday.
And we're going to be talking about that in a minute,
called Motion Night. But
one quick side note, we believed like those 40 to 60 hours could have been used better.
Yeah.
So we weren't using them.
Thank you for finishing my thought.
As best as we could as a church and as leaders of students. And so small groups was what we believed would be a better use of those 40 to 60 hours.
And that was like a shift with the whole church too, because we moved to a small group system.
We moved to a small
everything.
Group. And this actually has something to do with, parents of, elementary, preschool, you like the church only has, at most maybe 40 hours a year to teach your kids at Sunday school, right? And you will have over 3,000 hours a year to influence your kid for Christ. And so the idea is that the church cannot be the sole place that your kids are getting their spiritual, food, if you will. And so the whole idea is it's a shift towards two combined influences for one purpose is greater than one influence. And so the church working alongside, the family. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important that we understand that. And so small groups are meant to be that. And we want to resource our parents for every age and every stage and all the phases that kids are going through, because we only have so much time. So let's not miss out on it. Let's take advantage of it, and let's use that time really well. So yes, we do have some small groups available for we've got like 6 different small groups available for our students, junior high and high school ones.
Do they sign up for them
The great thing that I love so much about our student stuff is it's streamlined in the same way the adults are.
Okay.
So you will find all our student groups on the same platform of our adults. We start and we end the same time as the adults in terms of
we're on the
calendar.
same catalog, but so you can filter out all the students by just selecting the category student instead of women's.
If you go to springhills.org/students, there is a link on there that you can click, and then it will filter it for you, and you can see just the student groups that are available.
Okay. Cool.
And they're great.
Right
and
on.
They're like Kath and I, we're leading one for high school students only. And we started this summer, and it's really great. It's called Ask Us Anything. And we've had some great conversations with high schoolers, because we need to realize that unless these kids get the answers to the questions they have, they're going to walk away from faith.
Yeah.
And so you got to give them
and
a space
giving them
to
a place
do
to
it.
to
and
ask
a
those
biblical
questions
answer.
Yes.
Not just this is what the world's going to tell you, but this is what God's telling you.
Oh, so we've talked about we've talked about race, we've talked about sex, we've talked about drugs, we've talked about drinking, we've talked about God's will, we've talked about prayer. I mean, we've talked about a bunch of stuff that's on their heart in the moment.
They have these questions, and they're either going to ask us and get a biblical answer, or they're going to Google it.
Yeah, and Google. I don't know if Google's come to Christ yet. We're still working on that.
As far as I know, they have.
We're still working.
We're
on
praying
Google.
for Google.
Yeah.
Well, going off that too, I think that's the other cool part about like small groups too, is that as I have gotten more comfortable and with establishing relationships with these kids in my group, and I'm sure like all the other groups, I think kids get more comfortable with opening up about that stuff. So I think that's another added bonus to like the small group format.
And small groups are safe.
Yeah.
They're a safe place for kids that's consistent, and where a leader's praying for them, reaching out to them, recognizing when they're not there. You know, it's just an important. It's been huge, and I love it. I love it so much.
Awesome. So yeah, if you've got kids that are the age of the small group, which is junior high and high school.
Junior high and high school.
We've got small groups for them. So you can go to springhills.org/students. Is that where that's at? Great. Okay, and then now let's talk about the event of the week, which is Motion Night. Now, this is the second time that you've been able to do this back on campus, right? So how'd the first one go?
I loved it.
It was awesome.
Cool.
It was a movie night, right?
It was great. It was a movie night. We kind of eased back into gathering on campus. We weren't sure kind of how it was going to go. So it was in August, and things were still kind of slowly opening up, face masks, distancing, all that kind of stuff. But we had Chick-fil-A. It was all free. Every Motion Night's always free, so parents don't ever send your kid with money. If they're asking for money, they don't need it, so I'm helping you out with that one. But
they're lying to you.
But, yeah, you just show up on campus 6 to 8. Sorry, not 6:30. 6:30. 6:30 to 8:30.
6:30 to 8:30.
Gosh, 6:30 to 8:30.
Every second Wednesday.
Every second Wednesday. It's like First Wednesday, but for kids, for students.
And more
and
fun.
it's the
and more
second
fun,
Wednesday.
and it's the second
No
Wednesday.
offense.
Hey,
First
hey,
Wednesday.
First Wednesday is a lot of fun
Food,
for me.
I do love
games,
First Wednesday.
giveaways. And the idea of this is so that kids can still have that large group feeling like youth group gave them, the social thing. But the point of it is to invite their friends to come be a part of this big Motion Night. It's called Motion Night because we want their faith to be in motion. We don't want them just to stay still from where they are. We want them to grow. And we think those nights are platforms that they can then, launch from that will allow them to get into a small group, to go through growth track, to come to a weekend service, to, make that decision.
Motion Nights are catch-all.
They are. Yeah.
What were
It's
some
the
highlights
safe place to invite your friend.
What were some highlights that you guys saw as leaders with the first Motion Night back on campus?
The amount of kids. I was expecting
was
less kids.
50 something.
Yeah. Which
we had like almost
60.
60,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
60 to 70.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that many because of COVID and not knowing how people are responding with it all. But it showed how badly these kids want social.
It showed the
interaction.
hunger
They're
of
so
social
desperate for
interaction.
social
Yeah.
interaction.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. What about you, Josh? What were some highlights?
I unfortunately was not here.
Oh, you weren't?
for the first
Oh,
one.
man,
no.
I should have done
But
my
I will
research.
be here next week for.
It's okay. You can just flag it
Second
and you
one.
can cut it
So
out.
what's I got to show my flaws too, right? What do we look forward to in this Motion Night? What's going on with this Motion Night?
Yeah, so this Motion Night is going to be a fall kickoff, all right? So we've got the fall that we're looking forward to, the fall small group semester that we're really encouraging students to get plugged in. I think right now we have close to 65 students that are already in small groups, but we'd love to get that number obviously higher. But we're going to be kicking it off the fall. We're going to be having some free food, some drinks. We love to give away stuff.
I love.
We
to
love-
There's a
give
lot of
away
swag
stuff.
at Motion Night. I love
We
it.
love to give away stuff like gift cards and like food,
AirPods.
AirPods. We did AirPods.
You did
for
AirPods?
Shoes. We did
That's
AirPods.
awesome.
Not just AirPods. AirPod
Bands.
Pros.
You gave away AirPod
We
Pros.
gave away the
Yeah,
Pros.
the new
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, the new
What
ones.
was the kids' reaction to that?
Oh, they loved it.
That'd have
it
been
was
amazing.
Audrey Moberly.
Mhm.
She won the
Well
AirPods.
deserved.
Oh, it was great. Basically, if you signed up for a small group in the summer, because it was, kind of a transition time for us, we were doing things online called midweek, where we were wanting them to join on YouTube, but it just wasn't working for our kids because they were tired of screens.
Oh, sure.
And so we made this big shift to say, forget it, we're going to go to small groups. And we went for it. And to incentivize them, we said, hey, sign up for a small group. Everybody gets, a chance to win some AirPods. And we gave away a pair of shoes, too. So that was
That's
kind
awesome.
of cool.
Yeah,
so
I've seen you guys give away socks and headbands,
Sunglasses.
and different things.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So the message, every motion we do hangout, fun time, we do food, give the kids an opportunity to, see their small group leader and be encouraged by them. And then we always have a program, so the games are there, and Kath and I, we like to host that and have some fun. And then I give a message. Last month, it was asking the students where their hope is, because in these disparate times we're in right now, it's just like, where do you find hope in it? And so you're looking at, Hebrews 12, which talks about, fixing your eyes on Jesus and considering what he did for us and allowing that to help us endure the pain or the difficulty. This month, we're going to be talking about community and the importance of it and getting in groups. And so I'm going to be looking at...
Seems to be a theme there throughout NextGen.
Yeah. So Ecclesiastes 4, where it talks about 2 being better than 1, is where we're going to go and talk about the importance. Like, you can do so much more in life with people by your side.
Yeah.
And small groups are a great place to find those friends.
Yeah.
So...
Now, there's a lot of... We mentioned this a lot at church, especially on staff, just because we're all adults here. And none of us have, John Barrett does, but we don't have teenage kids. But what do you see? Because we talk about the way people are feeling often with COVID and stuff, but mostly in the sense of an adult, with work and being a parent. But what are you seeing with these kids? Like, I can't imagine my senior year just being canceled.
Yeah.
They're miserable.
Yeah. So,
Catherine's really close to a student who just graduated, and basically their whole vision of what their senior year was going to be just was shattered. So
Crumbled. It was so sad.
You don't get to do your prom. You don't get to do your...
you miss out on everything that you worked your whole high school career for.
Graduation, everything.
Yep, everything.
I can't imagine, because I know, just being someone who I did graduate high school, surprisingly. But knowing how fun my senior year was, I really feel for these kids missing out on that. But now
they don't realize
the kids starting high school and the kids that are going into college.
Rite of passage.
It's a huge rite of... They don't realize 10 years down the line you won't care, but in their moment and in their minds, they've missed out on one of the biggest things that will ever.
You look forward to it your entire school career. You look forward to senior year,
especially if you have older siblings that have gone through it. I really pray and just hurt for the student who's just I missed out on that. I didn't get to have that. Mine was a drive-by.
It was a drive-by that only a few people came to. You didn't get project grad. You didn't get graduation gifts. You barely even got that. You got nothing.
Did you get?
No, they didn't get anything.
Grad night.
No grad night. No senior sunset or sunrise. Nothing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So for some of the athletes, some of the kids who didn't.
Yeah, you miss out
on your
sports.
Some of the sports in high school.
That's a really great point.
On that, that's that
we definitely so hard. We definitely have parents whose kids are just
basketball made it out just in time.
Give me
one
something.
girl, one of our students who was being looked at by colleges and didn't get to play her whole soccer season, and so she never got looked at by colleges.
Yeah, see,
but she was banking on that
to make some money,
scholarships.
Yeah, to make college cheaper, definitely. Yeah, it's crazy to think about what these kids are going through. And now I'm not just talking about the kids that are seniors, the kids going into high school, but the kids that are young. And we see it here on campus because we've got people on staff that have kids that are in school, and now school is happening here on campus.
Distance learning
with a computer. So, John, I had texted you a little while ago to ask you to do this because now most likely we're not going to have any 7 or 8 year olds listening to this podcast. It's mostly going to be parents of 7 and 8 year olds or younger or older, but mostly parents. So I'd asked you if you had 3 things that you could say to encourage parents during the COVID season of distance learning, or not just necessarily the school part of it, but just being a parent during the last 6 months has been a totally different ballgame.
It has.
So 3 things that you could say to encourage the parent.
I love that you gave me 3 things because as a preacher, I don't preach a lot, but when I preach, I love having
3 points.
3 points, everybody. But and everybody, feel free to jump in if something sparks your guys' interest
for all
here.
of our distance learning.
Well, I'm a
because
parent,
you guys you're observing it. You see it. You're a parent. But
I'm a parent, but my kids are still young enough to where this hasn't really, the distance learning thing is not affecting us at all. Absolutely.
So I want to start off by just acknowledging the obvious, which is that this is hard. It is an incredibly difficult task that you've been given to be a parent, to maintain your obligations to your full-time job, to have to deal with the difficulties of things not being open during regular hours or, not getting the services that you are used to, all of that kind of stuff. I have 4 kids under the age of 8 that are grades 3 all the way down through preschool. They're all doing some form of Zoom distance learning where there's interaction with the teacher. There is, programs like, Tablet and, Lexia and all these other online interactions that teach them. And I just know, and our staff, like you were saying, Garrett, it's hard. So I want to acknowledge that and
we
really,
make light of it
really
a lot.
affirm.
Like we laugh at, when the kids walk out with the computer,
Yeah.
we're like, uh-oh, what happened now? But really, like, it's not funny. It's really
No.
sad that this is the way things are right
Yeah.
now.
So I want to affirm that it is hard. You're not just being dramatic, parent, okay? And so the first thing that I wanted to say to parents is to give yourself and your kids grace, okay? I think that's an important place for you to start. There is no perfect picture outcome with distance learning and with sheltering in place and all that stuff. So many times I find myself envisioning certain outcomes, wanting desired outcomes. And we do this with life all the time. And really, it's a matter of expectations, like what you're expecting. And when things don't meet your expectations, you can get frustrated and you can get upset and stressed out. And so we've got to realize that we've never done this before. And not only that, your kids have never done school on a computer like this before. And so we're juggling as many things as we possibly can. Like, I don't know how we could add one more thing to our schedule right now, but you've never juggled as many things that you're currently juggling right now. And your kids are trying to figure out this whole world of distance learning, and they've never done school at home with a computer. Now, maybe you're a parent who does homeschooling, and so it's maybe a little bit different. And so therefore, nothing really changed for you, and that's a blessing. That's a huge blessing. But for the parents who've had things radically change in the last 6 months, this is huge. And so grace is key, and we've got to give it to ourselves because we will screw up as parents, and we'll mess up. And we also need to give it to those in our family. So that's super important to give yourself and give, your kids grace.
I think that's a good one too, because it's not worth the relationship between you and your kid to create this
That's so true.
miserable experience for the two of you, because your relationship with them is so much more important.
Kath, that is a
Giving them
perfect
grace.
segue
As
to
Kath's
point
not
number
even a
2.
parent.
I'm not even a parent, but I'm surrounded
You're basically a
by
parent,
children.
though. You're
Sometimes
basically
I
a
think I
parent.
am a
Guys,
parent.
I kid you not, my second point was prioritize your relationship with your kids.
Yeah.
No way.
Kath, way to go.
Wow.
And so the point with that, and it's a great segue, Kath, while the needs that our kids have for structure and it's important that we place some level of importance on school, right? But here's the key, parents. Do not sacrifice the relationship you have with your kids on the altar of school and distance learning for grades, okay? I think I like to think about it this way, that when your kids go back to school, praise God, one day, just like Jesus will come back one day.
School will come back.
School will come back one day, everyone.
It's going to be the best day ever.
It will be.
What
right?
chapter of Revelation is that?
Oh,
in, when
gosh.
School comes back?
I don't remember. 22, I think. But the question is, what memories do you want them to take with them as they go back to school, as they go back to that time? Are they going to be like, gosh, it was a house full of stress and yelling and high expectations that created a space where I couldn't wait to get back to school? Or, and of course, there is really no perfect, family, no perfect, distance learning experience. Or do you want your kids to kind of miss, in a way, the at-home distance learning because there was a strengthening or there was a deepening of the relationships that they had? And so I don't want to downplay how hard it is to be a full-time teacher, employee, parent, spouse, you fill in the blank. It's hard. But the sooner that we can accept that this is the reality, the better, and we can then focus on things like the relationship, which you never want to focus on the task more than the person. I always say that people are more important than programs when it comes to church. Like, it's more important that you care about the people, right? And so one practical way that I've and my wife have done this is that we try to leverage the time that we have with our kids right now at home when they should be at school to leverage it for good memories. Mm-hmm. So, for example, we're involving kids in making their lunch when we're there. So when we're able to do that, we have the kids, and they love it, and it's fun. And so the kids get to make lunch for everybody.
And it's something
That's cool.
to do.
And it's something to do.
It's not just like, what are we going to do next? Because we do that with our kids, too.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. It's something to do, and it's something to break up the day, And, each one of them, they really do look forward to it. They get to decide what it is that they're going to serve for lunch.
Oh, that's cool.
And at the same time, it's a great way to get them serving their siblings and taking part of being a part of the team that
Great
we call
idea.
that we
Yeah,
call
super
family.
Good
Love
job,
that.
Nap family.
Yeah, well, it's Lauren Knapp.
Good job, Lauren.
It's Lauren. She's
Who's
so
also
great.
part of the Next Gen team.
Yeah, she serves in the preschool area. Yeah. So my encouragement to you parents is to find something that you can do that would that you wouldn't be able to do with your kids if they were in school, and then leverage that to the point of really making your relationship,
I've got a buddy
strengthened.
who does a podcast also, and he was talking about this, and it's not always talking about parenting, but he had somebody on, and he said, so how's it going with your kids? Because he's got kids that are 15 and 13, and he said, are they about to kill you now? And do they hate you? And he's just like, no, we kind of just made a decision that this is going to be, we're going to take advantage of this. So we've made plans of how to do things that the kids get to pick what we're doing. So if my kid wants to play video games, I'm going to go play video games with him during the hour that he gets to pick what we're doing, things like that. And he said, and honestly, the last 2 months or so has been great because we're kind of in this rhythm of like the family, we're getting along. We've got our own spaces where it's like we can separate.
Yeah.
And they really prioritize the time that they have together to build a relationship rather than it being like they're just driving each other nuts, which could be easy to do if you don't start where you just started with point number 1, which was give yourself grace.
My mom's a librarian, and she has been for many years, so she's got a big background in education. And she was encouraging me and my wife Lauren to say that if that dang, I don't know if she used the word dang, but if that dang Chromebook,
calling out mom.
No, she said dang. I don't know if that darn, she either says darn or dang, but that dang Chromebook, if it frustrates your child, if tears are beginning to, shut the Chromebook and open a real book and spend time with your kid.
There you go.
Like that's going to do way more for your kid than powering through and making it more about the task. Like shut that book because it is ruining the experience for your kid.
Yeah.
And focus on something that can deepen your relationship.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it can break their whole view of school forever in the future. So if they are miserable and they start to hate school now, they're going to hate school forever.
Yeah. And
it's not just going to be distance learning that they hate. This is going to be their memory of school.
And for those of you that are listening that are teachers, I've got a couple of teachers that are on the worship team that are going to come in, and we're also going to do this similar thing to encourage teachers.
I love that.
Going through this, because I know teachers are frustrated.
And
it's not just the students and the parents, and they're
working
they
so
can.
hard.
Don't blame your
so
teacher.
Hard.
Yeah.
They are. And these girls that are on, a couple of the vocalists on the worship team are both teachers of younger kids, and they definitely, I can see it when they come in and talk about it. They're both extremely positive people, but you can tell it's draining. How much they're having to do to try to keep up with it, and even in between services, they're both on their phones emailing parents back.
Oh my gosh!
And it's a constant thing for them right now, and they're trying so hard. They're working because they really care. They're teachers because they care.
They're called. They're called to be They love that. They love that.
Especially with these girls, it's their ministry too, so they hate not being in person.
Yeah.
Did you get to all three?
No, let me give the last one, okay? The last one is this, and everyone jump in on this because it's a general thing that you don't have to be a parent to recognize, and that's this, that remember God's in control, and what you're doing is making a difference.
Right.
And so when life is getting out of control, let's remember that God has the whole world in his hands. If you need to, sing that song to yourself, all right? Kath sings
We're
it to
doing it
herself
this weekend
all the
with
time.
the band.
And I would say this, in the book of Esther, it talks about the importance of recognizing your place in history, okay? So for such a time as this is the key verse out of the book of Esther. Remember, he has chosen you, parent, to be the parent to these kids right now. Like, for such a time as this, you are living in this because God has planned it, It is here, and you are able to endure it through the power of Jesus. You can do all things through him who gives you strength, okay? Mm-hmm. And so what a great privilege we have to help shape and form our kids into who they're going to be as they grow up, as we get to teach them about this control that God has,
Yeah. And I think, going off what you said right there, what a great privilege it is. I think one thing that has helped me personally, and I don't know, I don't want to sound like I'm in fairy tale land, being positive here, but trying to be real, I think being grateful, gratitude is the root of all happiness. And I think just being grateful for the opportunities that we have here, and starting each day with that, I'm grateful that I have the privilege of being able to teach my kids in this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful that
Brett's
can
actually
still
covering
be-
some of this weekend. He asked the
Oh, really?
question, what do you say to all the things God has given you?
Yeah.
What
And
are
I
you gonna
think
say?
it seriously goes such a long way. Like if you can start with that approach, because like I deal with it like at work, like it can be so frustrating at times, just this whole situation. And I think,
Yeah.
I don't know, like a mindset of gratitude. And that's not to say like it's not going to be frustrating. It's not going to be difficult, but
But it sets the tone.
it definitely does. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something you can teach your kids in this moment right now where they don't want to be grateful for very much of anything, you know? And like my wife and I, we joke about like, since distance learning, we feel like we've had the worst track record of being a parent. Like, yes, we have our bright moments, but it seems like we have more of the harder moments where our kids are breaking down or they're just not used to it and they're still learning and all that stuff. And in those moments, we get to interject Christ into the frustrations that they're having while they're experiencing school. I know for a fact that the teachers at his school, if he was going through a difficult time, they would not interject Christ. And not because maybe they don't know Christ, but because
They're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to. And so how awesome that we get to bring Christ into their education and we get to share with them our faith and
Your
share
kids
with
are
them.
at a Christian school
They're
now.
at a Christian school. Don't hesitate to teach your kids about, God and his control and how
Right.
much he loves you. And when you need to, just pop on Bowie, just pop Bowie on YouTube,
Put them on repeat.
I don't know how
You'll
your
love it.
15-year-old will feel about
You'll
that.
love it.
but-
That's
yeah,
true.
you'll love hearing
Hi, kids.
Oh my
over and
gosh.
over and over and over.
But
Oh,
Well, hey, this
Bowie.
is great to have you guys on and talk about this a little bit. So again, just to kind of recap things we've got going on, Motion Night is this. The reason we started this was because Motion Night is this Wednesday. That was where this stemmed from. So there's also all these other things going on. Again, go to springhills.org/students or / what are all the different slashes that you've got for the kids?
Springhills.org/kids, springhills.org/students.
Great. And
Yep.
then small groups is /small groups. Right?
Also, Instagram.
Just go to springhills.org. There's a lot of stuff on there.
Instagram, NextGen, Spring Hills NextGen, Spring Hills Students.
Yeah.
And we also have the
Facebook
Spring Hills
page.
app. So
Gosh, and we didn't even get to talk about Spring Hills and the Gap, which we'll have to talk about later.
I
Parents,
literally have never heard about that.
Oh my gosh, Spring Hills. Can we
Give us
Go
a
to
teaser.
springhills.org/kids and fill out our survey because Spring Hills wants to step in the gap between you and distance learning.
parents, if
We
you're
want to help.
losing your mind like I have at times,
I'm not even a parent, and
Yeah,
I'm
do
losing
it
my
like
mind
a
to
quick
distance
infomercial,
learning.
a radio infomercial.
right now
Are
we're
you
just trying.
losing your mind?
Right now, we're just literally trying to figure out how can we best resource and support the parents. So we don't have anything planned, but we just are. We have a survey, and from the survey, we're going to develop a plan based on our people. So it would really be beneficial for you to head over to springhills.org/in-the-gap because we desire as a church to stand in the gap between where you are in distance learning and where you'd like to be with the frustration with it, because I get it. And so we'd love to know from you how we can help and how we can support you.
And then from that will come a plan on how we will help.
From that, we'll come up with a plan, and we really do, to support our families.
Yeah.
And we love you, and we've been praying for you, and we care about,
And we miss you guys. We really do.
We do. So
We've got like a third of our church coming on the weekends right now, and I know a lot of people are still online, which that was going to be another question I kind of skipped over. But at Motion Night, there's parents that might be concerned about the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
So how are you guys following the different rules? I don't even know what the rules are right now.
Yeah,
but we're outside, first of all, right?
Yeah, we're outside. And we're social distancing. We're doing our best to make sure that everyone feels comfortable and feels like they have a place to experience the Motion Night in the best way possible.
Great.
So yeah, it's a great thing that we have for our students.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming down. Kath, good job.
Thanks
Your debut.
So much.
Great job.
She
Thanks
did
so
great,
much.
everybody. Give us
And,
5 stars.
Yeah, you could also email Kath at Catherine at Spring Hills and tell her that she needs to be on the podcast more often. Just give her a little encouragement.
I like that a lot.
We want Kath to be on the podcast. All right, thanks guys.